to another FU Friday. Got a few interesting topics for you today. Some might be amusing, some might be educational, but all in all, I hope you enjoy whatever I do present to you. Today I'm wearing my Indiana Hoosiers hoodie that my girlfriend gave me. I think if Indiana played Alabama or was a threat to compete with them for the national championship, I probably wouldn't wear it, but you know, sometimes I like to throw her a bone, if you know what I mean. And one other thing for my girlfriend, because she keeps asking me, pestering me, to include as an FU flatulent unicorns. There you go. So just so you know, this is my 10th video. I'm excited to have made it this far. Certainly a little bit of work to do these things, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm learning every day new things to try and techniques on the videos and things like that. So I've really enjoyed what we've been sharing so far. So also I have new subscribers. I'd like to thank y'all for joining us, and anybody else that wants to get notified of videos, y'all feel free to subscribe as well. Plus it makes me feel good. All right, so we're going to start tonight with Jaguars lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. While the offense appears to really be churning quite along, it looks like their defense is struggling a bit, so it's kind of holding them up. I do believe, though, that if they can improve the defense here, they're going to be contenders very shortly. So, as far as my Crimson Tide goes, they went into Aggie land and took it to Texas A&M on their turf. Texas A&M was ranked number 9. Alabama was ranked number 10. It was really not much of a competition. They took them to the woodshed. I'd say so. So any of my Aggie fans out there, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to gloat a little bit, but sorry. So this weekend, my Jaguars will be playing the Buffalo Bills in Wembley Stadium in London, so that should be pretty exciting. And Alabama has the Vols, Tennessee Volunteers, in Tuscaloosa at 3:30. Just for the record, the Volunteers haven't beat Alabama since before the iPhone was invented, if that can give you a little bit of context. So we're looking to continue that streak and keep working our way towards making the playoffs this year. And finally, I want to talk about my fantasy team. Did really well this week. I had a good lineup, even though I had a couple of players out. Here was my lineup. And as you see, marked in red, I had TJ Yeldon out with an injury, and Odell Beckham was questionable going into his game. But his game was on a Monday night, so I really couldn't wait to see. You know, it was a game time decision. Had they chosen to keep him out at the last minute, I would have been SOL. So I went ahead and replaced him. As well as you see my new chart here. TJ Yeldon I replaced with his backup on the team, Toby Gerhart, and I had picked up Dante Moncrief from the Colts. One of my competitors had dropped him after he scored 0 the week before, but Andrew Luck wasn't playing that week. I knew Andrew Luck was coming back, so I picked up Moncrief off the waivers and put him in place of Odell Beckham. And as you can see from this week's results, my players turned in a solid. My competitor had some good players as well. Blake Bortles, as I mentioned before, the Jaguars quarterback. The Jaguars offense is fairly strong. Blake scored a lot of points. He also had Calvin Johnson from the Lions, who of course is a monster and performs every week. And a relative unknown, I'd never heard of this tight end from Cleveland by the name of Gary Barnidge, who turned in a really solid day for a tight end. But he just didn't have enough overall players to really keep up with me, and as you can see, I beat him pretty handily. So I'm now 4-2 in the league. Still have a couple players ahead of me in the standings, but we'll keep working on that. Now, going into next week, as you can see, I've got my starting quarterback and his receiver, Marvin Jones, on a bye week this week. Also, my kicker, Robbie Gould, is on bye week as well. Now, kickers I just swap in and out. I don't bother to keep one on the bench. You know, it's always nice if you got the top tier kicker, but kickers, they're a crapshoot week to week. You never know what they're going to do. So I went ahead and just replaced him off waivers. So for Andy Dalton, I have Russell Wilson on the bench. Now Wilson was my starter early in the year, but he's really not performed well. I've rarely had a week where he had over 20 points. Whereas Dalton is actually, believe it or not, the #1 quarterback in fantasy in the league, averaging right around 30 points. So I put Dalton in, replacing him with Russell Wilson, who I had on my bench. Not a bad bench player, but now he's in place of Dalton. In place of Marvin Jones, I brought in Odell Beckham back off the bench. He's supposed to play this week, so I've got a really solid receiving core. And as I said, I just picked up Kai Forbeth from the Saints off of waivers. And so this is my matchup for this coming week. My opponent has Arian Foster, who's extremely good, as well as Marshawn Lynch. So he's got strong running backs, but the rest of his team is fairly weak, and I'm projected to win by about 16.5 points. So I'm hoping this is going to be a good week. But you know, you just never know. Some weeks your players just don't perform, and you know, that's why they play the games, right? As they always say. So this is my lineup. Coming good weekend of football all around. Very excited about it. My second FU segment, I'm titling Thumb Unda. Gals, if you don't know what that means, ask any of your guy friends what Thumb Unda means. They'll be able to explain it. This article is about something that happened I guess last month, but the outcome of it is just coming to light this week, where we had one of our county, Anne Arundel County police officers, was up partying at a bar in Baltimore by the name of Looney's Pub, a pub I've actually been to before. And apparently he decided to fondle some girl while he was there. He groped her, which in and of itself is an assault. But that actually was only the catalyst for what went on afterwards. He ended up outside fighting the girl's roommate, male roommate, and was taken down, and the roommate was straddling him. And the guy either slid down or pulled him up or whatever, and actually bit his testicles. Yeah, so of course police were called, all kind of bad things happened. The guy was arrested on assault. He basically plea bargained out of second-degree assault, which had the possibility of having a penalty of up to 10 years in prison, down to public intoxication, endangering the safety of another person. So he pleaded guilty to those two, avoiding the possible 10 years sentence, but he also lost his job. So, yeah, bad judgment on his part all around. First of all, there's a few things I got to say to him. First of all, the first mistake you made was groping the girl. That's an assault right there. Okay, come on. Secondly, when you decided to go out and fight this guy, you put his balls in your mouth. The hell? And thirdly, you're lucky that you pled out of prison, because could you imagine going to prison with the rap of, first of all, being a cop, and secondly, it's publicly known you had a guy's nut. It might not go over very well for you in prison. So I think you're fortunate that you only lost your job and didn't, actually end up somebody's boyfriend. The last FU moment I have tonight is a cringeworthy moment. The FU in this segment stands for facing unemployment, which is what I was doing when I performed the thing that I did. So when I was in high school, I went to high school in San Antonio at Randolph Air Force Base. Go Rohawks. I'll explain that one day. I worked at the Wendy's right off base on Pat Booker Road. Many of you know that place. Many of you saw me there at that place. Many of you were given free Frosties at that place by me. And it was my second day on the job. Now, I have a history of being a button pusher, more physically than metaphorically. And I have always seen buttons and had the impulsive urge to push them. Well, in this instance, I could not restrain myself. The button was so big and so red and begging to be pushed that I pushed it, not knowing what it did. Now, I was a kid still, not very smart, no common sense whatsoever, no control over my impulses. When I pushed this button in the middle of a evening rush, it shut down all the power for the kitchen. The grills went off, the fryers went off, all the power went off, and we were unable to serve the customers. I'm not sure how complicated it was to actually restore power to the front line, but as you can imagine, I was not the hero of the day. Now, I don't remember exactly all of the ramifications from it. I do remember, if I'm not mistaken, they called my father, who had to come up there and meet with the manager, and apparently they had a discussion, and somehow I was able to retain my job, which I ended up keeping for 2 years, and ended up being a leader on the crew at some point. But I certainly did learn a lesson about stopping to think about pushing buttons and stuff. You just really never know what they do. And it was a really important lesson in understanding consequences of actions at a young age. So I'm glad I did it because I learned a lot from it. I'm sorry I did it because it was just stupid and made me look like a fool. But you know, it's just one of those WTF moments that a lot of people have that could cost them their jobs. I guess at least I didn't bite somebody's testicles. You know, there's worse things to live down, I suppose. All right, that's it for FU Friday. I hope you all have a great weekend. I plan on having a lot of football, maybe a couple of cocktails. Yeah, thanks for coming by. Thanks for the new subscribers. And if you guys want to see the videos posted right when they happen, feel free to subscribe. And we'll see you again in a few days on Me Monday. We'll try some more wine and have some more discussions.